Yo, what's going on, beautiful people? This is Nate here.
This is Kev.
And yo, we are GamesMusicLyfe. So we're back with a review today for this Vince Staples project titled The Big Fish Theory. Yes. I gotta be honest with you, I didn't know much about Vince Staples going in.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I really knew about him, he was on the freshman cover at XXL at one time. I think 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Just outspoken. I thought dude was funny. I seen a couple interviews on him, you know what I mean? But I didn't really know much about him. The only vibe I got from him going in was like he cared about wordplay, which he talked about, but as far as music wise, I couldn't tell you anything from it. I wouldn't know anything about him. So right. I knew going in I was kind of like a little bit in the dark, you know?
Yo, I've been a fan for a few years, man, since what was Summertime 09 mixtape came out, man. First song I ever heard from him that I immediately knew that that dude had something special, man, was a Blue Suede. Okay. If you've not heard it, man, I'll send it to you, man. Check it out.
Yeah, hit me.
Dope, absolutely dope song, man. I knew that he had something special, man. I've been following him pretty closely ever since, man. I've listened to most of his projects and EPs, man. Prima Donna EP, I knew a lot of people weren't heavy on that EP, but I thought it was actually pretty good, man. I thought it was very creative, so I was looking forward to this album a lot.
Okay, no doubt, man. So going into it, man, we kind of just was kind of going back and forth about what we like, we didn't like, and just kind of visualizing exactly where it came from. And the first thing I told you was like, I was like, whoa. Like, it kind of caught me off guard that I would get the project that I got from him, because he came up like a poppy feel, like kind of like a little bit of a go-go. Like I could really, but it sounded West Coast a lot. Mm-hmm. The thing I found the dopest thing about it, which I always am a fan of, is people not putting on their feature list on who's there. So it makes you kind of listen to the project. I wasn't expecting to hear the features that I heard. Right. Like I didn't know that everyone rocked with them like they did. And then the production wasn't really any big, producers that were on it. So it was like I kind of was taken aback by just hearing those voices that came through, because every feature was very dope. The album touched on a lot of things that I didn't think a young boy would be talking about, and just the overall appeal from it. So when I came back after everything and kind of was like, this is a pretty daggone good project this guy put out that I didn't expect from him. You know what I mean? I didn't expect to hear that from him. It sounded like kind of like an old soul a little bit. But I thought it was decent. I mean, I definitely want to get more. I'll get more into it. I'll let you get the stage, see what you said about it. But
man, with it, the first thing that kind of hit me was that it felt like he was venturing back out again. He was trying something new. And the one thing I've always appreciated about Vince Staples is it never felt like he's ever tried to conform to one specific sound or just nailed himself down or aligned himself with any specific sound. It's like whatever he likes at that time, whatever he's listening to, man, he's not afraid to venture out and try it. And on this project, I felt like that was showing in bunches. I mean, we got a lot of like really electro dance house music. That
exactly.
vibe, and not something that you hear a lot in hip hop.
But he pulled it off though.
But he pulled it off very well. And the thing was, it wasn't like he was trying to make these big pop songs. He was still delivering the content that he delivers, man, talking about real life things. Yeah. For the dude to be 23, 24 years old, man, like
he shouldn't be talking about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, but he's got a lot on his mind.
Yeah, he does. He's an old soul too, and he realized his mom's very old. Like not so much very. I mean, I'm sorry, not very old. She's older than him. Yeah. And he got a 42-year-old sister. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like you got why he did that.
He got a lot of game out there. But I definitely felt like, man, taking that adventurous aspect, man, was dope, and he didn't slack on the lyrics. I really like a lot of the singing that came on there. It felt like it wasn't something that you would traditionally hear on a hip hop album. Like a lot of these sounded like really big pop singers or pop singles as far as whenever the singing would come on there. But somehow he managed to work it in there very well. And I also liked on the album how a lot of the tracks transitioned like from one track to the next. We might have that dance feel from one track, and then the very next track we might get something that's got more of a G-funk kind of vibe to it, man. Yeah. But somehow he still made the album flow together real well, and even doing that. So with it, that blew my mind. Yeah,
and also too, to piggyback on what you're saying, which is the polar opposite of 180 of Vince Staples, which is why we didn't like that Wale project. It was like Wale tried to sing to go along with things, whereas Vince would have a poppy feel, but he would still stay true to form. Yeah. He would still spit, he would still have his rapping, and he would still have content. One thing that stood out to me the most about the album is, did you notice like on the darker tracks, he picked an upbeat beat, but he would talk about some dark stuff. Yeah. And it was like, that was like, instead of it being like traditionally we listen to a dark song and have a dark beat to go along with it, you're like, oh boy, I appreciate it, but I'm gonna go slip my wrist. You know what I'm saying? Whereas this one was like, it felt like a feel good track, and I started like listening to it, like, yo, this is some sad stuff he's talking about. Right. But I felt like that was pretty dope to go along with that. Now, the thing, he got a little political on there. He got just talked about a lot of things, man, and but it was very West Coast.
Yeah, it was. He kept it true to form, and I know that he was talking about as far as West Coast rap or just kind of West Coast culture. Before gangster rap really started to come in there, man, you had a lot of the gangsters listening to, dance music. Like the dance scene in LA was huge in the 80s, man. People pop locking, doing all that kind of stuff, man. It was a huge part of the culture.
Yeah.
And he was incorporating that into his sound a bit on this album. But, if you weren't already familiar, you wouldn't even know. Like, you wouldn't know where he was kind of coming from with those influences. So I thought that was cool, pretty,
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, pop locking thing, which is weird because I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's real West Coast, man. I just, and like, from everything from, the ad libs to just the backgrounds and everything. It was like a West Coast pop album.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm gonna tell you what, man. Kendrick came in there and bodied that.
Oh my
music.
gosh,
like, man,
yeah.
he don't miss, but like, he really came with it on there.
But
I thought he came in on fire.
Staples did his thing on that too, though.
He did.
He definitely
He
did.
didn't get outshined anyway.
No, he didn't. And then the thing about it is when they came through, like some of the tracks that stood out to me, I kind of wrote them down, like crabs in a bucket. I mean, that's an old school term. A lot of people don't even know. And I tell my daughters that, like, yo, don't let it be a crab in a bucket. He painted a vivid picture. If anyone ever heard that from their old heads and they didn't know what that meant, listen to that track because he definitely paints a perfect picture of what that means, man. Some people just don't want to see you up top. They want to pull you back down with them, man, and he paints a good picture of that,
Absolutely.
But yeah, so
man, now the only thing I will say, man, the biggest gripe I had with this album, as much as I appreciated how he ventured out on those beats, some of them are a little bit tough to swallow.
Oh man,
like they get very, very poppy, very dancey, and for a hip hop album, it's just a little hard to digest. But I do like that he's pushing the boundaries there. And another thing that was a little bit disappointing for me, the album is so short. It's like 32 minutes long.
Yeah, it's 36. It's 36 minutes worth of music, and he got a lot off in that 36 minutes. And that's one of the gripes I put too, was like I didn't like the fact that it was so short. And then also, like you said, man, some of the beats, it kind of like when you're listening to them, it didn't kind of makes sense at parts, but it's like when you keep listening to the track, it's still, you keep your head going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but one thing that I will say though about it though, even though I didn't really wasn't a big huge fan of some of the beats, was this is hip hop.
Absolutely.
When you listen to it, like this is really hip hop, man. And dude, I think he's an old soul, man.
Absolutely, man. Overall, what did you think of the project? Where was it?
Overall, I mean, I gave it an 84.
Okay.
Definitely a good project. Definitely something I think everybody should give a listen to. And I think what for me though is like this is one of the albums that made me thankful that we have this platform because I would never probably listen to this. You know what I mean? Seriously, because I only thing I knew about, like I said, the only thing I knew about him was that he used to be part of Odd Future. Didn't he kind of was affiliated with him at one point. Then he was like. He was on that freshman covers list, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever listen to this mess. I don't know about him. And I start watching his interviews and watching some of the things. I'm like, this dude is really got a good head on his shoulders, man.
Dude's funny too.
Very funny, very outspoken, and doesn't come off in a disrespectful way.
Right.
Just kind of keeps it real and but in a funny way, and just a Cali dude, man. It was just funny. But I will say though, the thing that stood out to me was how he doesn't glorify the things that go on in California because it's normal to him.
Right.
Kind of how YG did. He didn't glorify it. It was just part of who he was. And the fact that the reason why he didn't glorify it was because he got little nephews and he got like people that look up to him. So if he was glorifying it, he'd be doing them a detriment. So I found like he's conscious. That was dope to me too. But yeah, 84 is what I gave it though.
I dig that, man. With it, I rated this album out of an 82, man. I really enjoyed the rapping. If we would have maybe got some more beats that I was a little bit more comfortable with, man, it might have been a little bit higher, but some of these were a little bit hard to digest for me. The biggest knock I would have on this album as well is I don't know that this is a great introduction album. Like if you weren't somebody who was checking for Vince Staples, man, and I played this for you, you might be like, Kev, you out your mind. But I think for his fans or the people that know kind of what to expect from him as far as like bars and content goes, everybody would be very well satisfied. I felt like the song structures on here were all very good, man. Hooks were solid, verses were very solid.
Yeah.
He expressed a lot of different ideas, man, got a lot of different emotions and thoughts out there, man. And I thought that was dope. But again, you know what I'm saying, that beat selection, it was daring, you know what I'm saying? And I like the fact that he took that risk, but not all of them were for me.
But I will say though, this would be a hell of a show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that would be like a live band playing some of that.
For sure.
He might be on to something, man.
Hey, man, I love to see where he takes it, man. I'm always looking forward to see what he has out next. And with it, this album I felt like was a good note in his discography.
Absolutely. But yo, let us know what you guys think, man. Too high, too low. Chime in what you guys think about it. Give it a shot. But definitely, we both think you should give it a shot. 84, 82.
Absolutely. I definitely think that you should listen to it, especially if you're already a fan of Vince. I think that this project will be for you.
Absolutely. But yo, man, this is Nate here.
This is Kev.
And we're Games Music Life, man. Drink more water, people.
Peace.